Good morning, everyone. Nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us. The room got a little smaller and the chairs got a little fuller. That's good. So I'm Tim Corkery. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for TimeTrade, and I've been with the company about 3 years. And this is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mead, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer. Also been with TimeTrade a little over 3 years.
So we're going to ping and pong between the two of us. So I'm going to do the first few slides, and then Lauren's going to come up and do a little more. I think the good news here is that what you've heard in the first two keynotes this morning, we're going to show you how we tried to practically apply that. So instead of thinking of it from a consulting point of view, we're looking at it from a real-time view. How do we grow our business? How do we increase the pipeline? How do we make it more reliable and stronger? So we'll take you through all of that. Lauren and I joined about 3 years ago together, and pretty much from the first day we said, we have to work together as a team. Your group, my group, they have to work closely. Otherwise, it won't work. And I practiced that at previous companies. I know she did as well, so it was a pretty easy bond. We didn't have to fight it out at all. We started from the beginning. So when we thought about this session and the title, Flexing Your Funnel, Growing a Revenue Team, thought about strength. And I used to have muscles like that, but they've atrophied a little bit over time. But we also thought about flexibility. So who here remembers Gumby? Show of hands.
Pretty good.
Who are the youngest people in the audience who remember Gumby? So flexible, you could twist it and turn it, you'd never rip it, and it would always come back to its original form. So we felt not only did you need the strength in the funnel, but you also need the flexibility to be able to make changes and refinements along the way, but have the funnel come back to the form that it needs to so it's efficient from top to bottom. So that's a little bit about the background. I think it's important that you understand TimeTrade before Lauren speaks about the things we did and the initiatives we took. So TimeTrade's a 20-year-old company. We're located in Tewksbury, Mass., which is about 20 miles north of Boston for those of you who don't live in this local area. And we have about 100 people, and we're totally focused on a SaaS delivery model. And what we do is called intelligent appointment setting. So by a show of hands, who knows what intelligent appointment setting is? We'll find out if we have any of our competitors in the room. Anyone ever try to schedule an appointment? I've got to believe everyone in the room. How many have had frustration with it when you find that the person you're trying to schedule with isn't available? That's where the word intelligent comes into play, intelligent appointment setting. We'll spend a little more time on that in a minute. So it really shouldn't be as hard as it is. Most people that I interview for a sales job say, I get it, this is simple. I'm a salesperson, I have to set meetings with my prospects and customers. I get it, it's really simple. But what if you need a sales engineer to join you? Are they available at the same time? What if you need a second one because we have product experts and we now need two of those in the same sales call? Well, they're not available, so you're back and forth. You're offering the customer an appointment. You think you've got your team ready, but now the customer's not ready, or they're going to reschedule on you. That's a constant revolving situation that costs money and time, and all that's affecting your funnel productivity, and it's costing the company money. We're very easy for us to show ROI, because when you take the cost of people and the amount of time they're spending and wasting on trying to set appointments efficiently, the cost is astronomical. Really shouldn't be as hard as it is. That's our job to solve it. Over 20 years that we've been in business, our primary markets are financial services, and I'm going to use a bank as an example quite a few times today. So think about a bank. Could be a bank like Wells Fargo, or it could be a bank in your local community with 20 branches. Credit unions, very similar to a bank, but they're much more member-focused. They really want to service and keep those members as part of the credit union. There are about 6,000 banks in North America, same number within a few hundred of credit unions. Also, financial advisor firms. So think about if you deal with Fidelity or you deal with JP Morgan Chase or Schwab. Those financial advisors have to reach out to their clients and do quarterly, semi-annual, annual meetings on portfolio progress during the course of the time. There's actually a law now in financial services that requires them to document meeting with their customers, because there's been some bad situations in the past that cost a few banks a lot of money in fines because they were actually making up numbers. So that helps our business, because those appointments that are created need to be maintained, managed, and monitored. So that's one segment of the market. The other is technology and services. So think about any software company like TimeTrade. We have a sales team. They need to book appointments. We have a services team who delivers our product. They need to book appointments. And we have an ongoing customer support team. They need to book appointments. So all of that happens in these technology companies. They're a perfect target for us. Many of them use Salesforce. We integrate tightly with Salesforce. Some use Microsoft Dynamics, and we integrate with that as well. There's a couple of stragglers in there. Anyone loves to go and have a blood test? Quest Diagnostics. They book about 750,000 appointments for blood draws a month on our platform. And finally, down the bottom, retail. So think about higher-end specialty brands. We work with a number of them. Someone like a Best Buy in the Geek Squad, they do about 1.5 million appointments a month. And come Black Friday, they'll do 2 to 2.5 million appointments during the course of the Black Friday holiday alone. So think about the number of customers, the number of appointments, which you're going to see right now. Almost 700 million appointments have been booked through our platform. So very scalable, very reliable. This goes down for a business like a Best Buy or any of our customers. It's really a mission-critical application. So we have over 30,000 businesses using our product. So you say, wait a minute, you mentioned you have 500 enterprise customers. So what's the other 29,500? We have lower-end products we sell over the internet for small businesses. So a law firm with 3 partners, a tax accountant that operates as a solo business. We have scheduling products built on the same platform that they buy over the internet. Lauren and I focus all our time, for the most part, on the enterprise customers. Those are the ones paying us upwards of $1 million a year, some of the bigger ones, for the services that we provide. We have 10 of the top 20 banks in North America, and we're very proud of that because they are definitely risk-averse and very detailed on the security and compliance areas. We have a little bit on the market itself, long sales cycle. This is not a quick turn. What comes in as an opportunity in the month does not close in the month. The lightest sales cycle we have is on the CRM side, about 90 days. Typically, we're looking at somewhere between 6 and 12 months. We've had them go as many as multiple years. Why is that? Because the business has to prepare itself to do this. So every business we talk to today, they're already doing appointment scheduling in some way. Could be an Excel spreadsheet, could be an operator on the phone taking down things, putting notes on people's desks, not doing it well. So when they decide to move in our direction and onboard intelligent appointment setting, let's talk about a bank. Inside the bank, the marketing team needs to get engaged, because we're going to put links all over their website where you can click to book an appointment. It could be on the mortgage page, the car loan page, the front page. So they have to be prepared for that, and they have to do the work to allow us to populate their website. Think about the retail operations side of the bank. You're opening up their doors to any person who's on the web and ready to book an appointment. Well, they have to make sure they have the staff, so they may have to integrate with a workforce management system. So there's a lot of connectivity and orchestration that has to go on in the business to be ready to do a good job with the TimeTrade solution. That's one of the reasons the sales cycle is so long. Multiple personas, I mentioned them. On the marketing side, CMO, omni-channel marketing, digital marketing. Security and IT, absolutely involved, because we're plugging directly into their mail servers to understand free busy time on their calendars. So they want to know all about that, and we go through sometimes a few months of security review and approval. Decision makers, they're all involved. IT has to say yes, security has to say yes, the business has to say yes, marketing has to say yes, and in addition to that, the CFO has to be willing to spend the money. A lot of times we see in our smaller customers, like credit unions, the president or CEO actually mandates this. we need to do this, our competition's doing it, so there's a bit of a jealousy factor in some of these tighter vertical markets that we work into, which for us is great. So how's the market evolved over 20 years? So 20 years ago, TimeTrade was the innovator. Today, we're the acknowledged leader in the marketplace. But like any market, where there's opportunity, there's new competitors. So a lot of these competitors are low end. They come in, they build basic functionality for the product, and the price points are very, very low end. We're not the cheapest by any means. So a customer may choose, you know what, I'm going to try this. We've never done it before. I'm going to try the cheap solution. A lot of times it doesn't work out for them. They either retrench and heal their wounds, come back a year or so later, or right away they say, we still need this, we made the wrong decision, we're going to now talk to you guys. So that's kind of the landscape of what's going on in our market. So as Lauren talks to you, you can see the work that we've done to bring our target audience down to the most discrete businesses that we know our product resonates with, to try to increase that funnel, minimize the sales cycle, because it is long. Even a month helps us on the sales cycle of 6 to 9 months. So with that, I'll leave it to Lauren.
So as Tim mentioned, when he and I joined the organization, the blessing and the curse of the market, we come in, right, appointments. Technically, you can sell that to anybody that meets with customers, right, any business. And what we saw was that marketing was going after one group of buyers, and sales, everyone on the team was choosing a different target market that they were going after. So for us, deciding to go for an ABM model was really about alignment and focus, right? We're a small team. We don't have marketing resources to just support sales to go after every specific use case and how we could apply our technology there. So for us, alignment, what that meant was like, what are the company, where are the places we're going to sell? What are the companies that fall within those? Within those companies, what problems do we solve? What's the pitch? What's the use case? How are we going to go after targeting them from both a marketing and then an outbound sales approach? What is an opportunity? How do we classify that, making sure that Tim and I are talking the same language? And then what were all the handoff pieces within our funnel to make sure that we were really well aligned in providing the customers the best experience? So what we did to kick off this project is we brought together a cross-functional group, starting from individual BDRs all the way up to our senior leadership team. And we took both a qualitative and quantitative approach to looking at this. So we went into Salesforce, and we ran the data and the win-loss reports saying, like, where do we win, where do we lose, what are the common characteristics of these companies in terms of demographics, tech stack, things like that. And then we also went down and we sat with like our customer success team and our services team to say, like, what customers are really getting the most value? What are maybe some emerging markets? And after looking at all that, we really were able to kind of hone in on where we wanted to focus. And as an output of that, we basically took the market and we segmented into 3 major categories, right? So what you see here at the bottom of the pyramid, if someone comes inbound to us and they have a need that we can solve, we're certainly not going to turn them away. But when we look at where we're going to focus, it's going to be higher on the pyramid. Everything that we came out, we basically came up with about 10,000 accounts that we said, okay, these are the vertical markets and the common companies that we want to focus on. We have a strong suit. These are the ones that marketing is going to focus on from a one-to-many perspective and do vertical marketing campaigns with a mid-tier investment. And then the top of that pyramid, we identified about 400 companies, and this 400 was evolving at any given time, pulled up from that 10,000, that we're going to do more true ABM, one-to-one, and sales and marketing jointly with the BDRs. We're choosing these accounts at any given time. As we choose these, we've continued to get more sophisticated in how we choose them. So we started adding account scoring, looking at demographic characteristics of these, and now we've even started to add intent to help us better identify accounts that are going to more easily convert. And what we came out with was about 10,000 companies, and we took this and we really made sure we had the data to align to support this approach. We went to Salesforce, we made sure all those companies were identified, we marked them, we got all the personas and titles against those companies, so we had the tools both from a sales and marketing perspective to see where we wanted to go after. And then as you look at it from a marketing approach, as you look at the campaigns, really you can see at the top of the pyramid, they're getting the most investment, both in time as well as investment. These are more expensive accounts to go after. And then at the bottom, we're putting very minimal resources, but we're seeing how those convert. And it really was a great indicator for us to say, how are we going to invest our time? We also use this account list as a model to say, okay, when we're evaluating, are we going to sponsor this event? Well, how many of those 10,000 companies are going to be at this event, to really make sure that we're focusing our time and be really well aligned on where we're going to focus. From a goal setting process, we heard about this a little bit before, so there's like a transition that you have to go through when you align on ABM. We actually measure our funnel both ways, like the old traditional serious waterfall as well as the demand unit waterfall, just to make sure you can't just turn one off and start on the next. So we measure both ways, both as a lead perspective, but when we're doing ABM, we say, okay, what is the number of companies that we're going after, and then how successful have we been able to engage those on a company basis and push those through our funnel?
Okay, so when I was a kid, I had a boxer. Boxer's name was Roger, so we brought Roger in and said, we need to take a bottoms-up approach on this. So we first look at the company business plan by quarter. We decide what the sales goal should be. It's usually 30%, 35% above. And then we build a pipeline target, which we look to achieve 4 times our sales goal. We have a long sales cycle. We want to make sure we have enough in the pipe in order to be able to convert. So then we take our average sales price and divide that into all of the goals and determine exactly how many sales accepted opportunities we need. So the conversion from a sales accepted opportunity down starts with a marketing qualified opportunity, which comes from a marketing qualified lead, which comes from an inquiry, marketing qualified inquiry. So Lauren's team is scoring inquiries until they reach a certain level. They convert to MQLs. MQLs, based on the BDR's work, convert to MQOs, which hopefully ultimately get converted to a sales accepted opportunity. We look at this monthly, and we revise it every quarter for the period following, and we apply our sales cycle to that so that we make sure we have the numbers. We share those with the BDR team. The sales team, we have a mix. The sales team needs to provide 30% of those opportunities. The marketing team, the other 70%, and that's the agreement we have and the partnership we have. So we really have 2 revenue teams. As a SaaS company, new business, think about new logos. So we have a sales team focused exclusively on new logos. They team up with marketing and the BDRs. There's a one-to-one between the BDR and the salesperson. And we work to make sure that we have the funnel filled with new business opportunity for new logos. But just as important, in fact, possibly more important to our business as a SaaS provider is the recurring revenue from the subscription renewals. We have 94% retention rate on our renewals. We only do annual contracts, sometimes multi-year. So that team has a pairing with the customer success team. So we have account managers at various levels depending on the accounts they're servicing. They pair up with the customer success team to ensure the health of the account and the cross-selling into new business areas in the accounts, as well as the upselling for the existing business area. And they also work with the marketing team and the BDR group as well. So there's really 2 revenue teams here working in tandem to bring the whole business together.
So let's talk about the handoff, right? So when we look at the funnel, like who does what, and I don't think we're super different than most companies. So marketing is really focused on the top of the funnel. We use lead scoring. Marketo is our marketing automation system. So we create the inquiries, pass that all into Salesforce based on lead scoring. Once they reach a certain criteria, we hand those off to the BDRs where we have they get leads. We have an SLA of the number of touches that they have to do over a particular period. They use SalesLoft as their sales automation platform to do outreach into those. And their job is ultimately to set up qualified meetings for the sales team. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. And I think when we talk about that Gumby approach, I think this BDR to sales handoff was where we actually saw the most flexibility and where we had to continue to adapt our funnel and make sure we had that best process as possible. The BDRs do report into marketing at TimeTrade. So even the entire marketing team, while we measure leads and everything, all of us are focused really on opportunity generation, and that's what they're ultimately goaled on. Once the BDRs hand off to sales, we actually have a step in Salesforce where the sales rep actually has to accept that opportunity, so we can track that stage as well. And then hopefully they take that deal and push it through to close. One of the biggest things I think we saw, like I mentioned in the funnel, that BDR to sales handoff, the biggest thing we struggled with, and we've gone back and forth a little bit, was like how much to qualify, right? What does the BDR do? What does the sales rep do? And what is the right mix, both for our organization as well as the customer? And we've kind of gone through an evolution where like we were really qualifying and feeding sales a small number of opportunities. And then we kind of went in the other direction where we were not qualifying very much and like filling them with the fire hose. And that was something we went back and forth, and we had to do a lot between Tim and I working with our teams to make sure we were doing the best thing for our organization and the customer. I think one of the most important things to think about, when you're deciding that handoff is thinking of two things. One, where are you on the maturity stage of your product? And then the other piece is like, what is the skill set of the team and the people that you have in place or the team that you need to build? If you're really early in the maturity stage, and we saw this with some new product introduction, like you can't expect people to have budget, right? Your BDRs are never going to get budget because they don't know this is a problem that they have that needs to be solved, right? So the BDR should be doing less qualification. You want them handing that off to the sales team so they can help them build that business process. If you're later in the stage, sure, maybe they'll have budget and you want your BDRs to do more qualification and let your reps focus more on selling. I think as we introduced new product lines and saw changes in the market, this was some of the areas we flexed. Some of the other areas, the skill set of the team. So we grew our BDR team. We had more junior people. Is a really junior BDR going to be able to help build a business case? Are we doing ourselves a disservice if we're not pushing things over to sales early enough, because then we're not putting our best foot forward to really make sure we're helping sell the customer and help them understand the value that we solve? What we ended up with and what's working for us now is we have our BDRs qualified basically need plus one. We try and get them to ask all the questions and qualify as much as they can up front, but basically like they need to find pain and then either someone that has access to the rest of the things that are going to push this forward to be a project. And that's what they bring to the sales team. We did see a little bit like when we went towards that faucet, the BDRs, even though we wanted them to tee up meetings and be a little risky to put more in front of the sales rep if it was a hedge case, they weren't doing it because they didn't like the idea of getting a rejected opportunity, right? Even if it's hopefully better for them if they have the chance of getting paid on it, they didn't want that rejection, so they weren't passing the opportunities. So one of the things that we changed in terms of compensating the BDRs, because we wanted to give them, the sales team, that chance at bat to create the project, so we changed how we comp the BDR. So previously they were only comped on sales accepted opportunities, but one of the changes that we made that I think has really helped impact that behavior is we actually broke their comp down into 3 phases. So they're paid a small amount for every completed meeting that they do. They're paid the majority of their variable comp on sales accepted opportunities, and then they also get a percentage once a deal that they passed is closed. And that we found was helping us find the right balance between quantity and quality, where they were passing good leads, but taking a little bit of a chance because they knew if the meeting happened, they'd still get that small amount.
Okay, so as far as results, we've been at it for 3 years. We've changed along the way. We'll continue to change because we think that's necessary. There's gives and takes on both sides. But we have seen better alignment. The teams work together very closely. In fact, each marketing person in Lauren's group is assigned to a salesperson, and not only do they collaborate on campaigns and messaging, but also they have their BDR who is actually doing the outbounding and the follow-up on MQLs that are hopefully converting to MQOs. So much better alignment. The other thing is narrowing down our vertical markets. So as Lauren said, when we first started, kind of all over the place, brought that in, talk about a credit union, talk about a bank or financial advisor firm. We're now starting to be very good at the talk track to those organizations. So we understand their business better, we understand their needs, what kind of problems they have with appointment setting, what kind of compliance issues they have, and our team is starting to bring that information in and be able to spit it back out to the prospect, so kind of talk the talk, if you will.
We saw some pretty significant improvements in our funnel when you look at the total productivity. You know, I think it was mentioned this morning by Sanjay, was like, actually leads went down, and people freak out over that, and that's one of the reasons that we measured both versions of the funnel. But when you look at it, our success rate and how we did in converting those leads, we were doing much better. So our cost per lead went up because there was fewer leads, but when you actually looked at our cost per opportunity, it went down pretty significantly. We cut that by 70% just by finding those efficiencies in terms of identifying better leads that are going to convert better. When we look at those top, at the top of the pyramid, the 400, when we set our sights on those companies and we align sales and marketing to outbound and go after those accounts, we are successful in taking 20% of them and converting them into active pipeline opportunities. So we have a pretty good clip rate in terms of how we fuel that. And I think ABM accounts for about 70% of our funnel, and the remaining 30% comes through those inbound channels.
Obviously, pipeline growth, that was why we set out to do this. We've seen the pipeline grow an average of about 30% over the previous periods, which has been very helpful. More opportunities, more ability to close, more ability to grow the top line. The other part is, and it kind of ties to the second bullet, the increased persona knowledge and business knowledge about the markets we're going after. You know, we had 40 credit unions, then we had 50, then we had 60, and now we're moving on to 75 and above credit unions as customers. So we get known in that market. The referenceability is better. They are competitors geographically in some cases, but they also are quite incestuous and are jealous of each other. So we're finding that what one does, now the next one wants to do. So that's really working well for us. So those, some of the results we've seen.
And then in terms of lessons learned?
Yeah, lessons learned. Cross-functional alignment, critical. So it's not only sales and marketing. I have the solutions architect team as well. They have to be aligned with us. The customer success team, well aligned. Without that, this wouldn't be working for us at TimeTrade. And play to your strengths. So we basically know that, as Lauren mentioned, we went back and forth on what was a qualified opportunity. So we weren't ever going to get to BANT, so we're need +1. And we went back and forth on that. And we said, you know, our salespeople are really the best at trying to capture a prospect's interest. So let's lighten up on what we're asking the BDRs to do so that more flows to the salesperson whose strength is selling to those customers. And let the BDR do what they do best, which is rapid fire on follow-up and setting meetings for the sales team. So that's an example of playing to some of our strengths, plus the vertical market position we have in the markets I mentioned earlier today.
When we talk about the flexibility, and as we went back and forth through each of these different stages, I think if we didn't measure every single handoff point as closely as we did, we would have, in some cases, had no idea what was going on and why things were decreasing and increasing. You know, we went in one point where like our sales team tightened up without really talking to marketing, tightened up what they were accepting. But we knew, because we had all of that really well captured in Salesforce, exactly what was going on. And Tim and I could go back and say, okay, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to align? So we had great data to really support and knew exactly where we had to hone into to make sure we were pushing through at the right velocity. I think the other thing that we really realize in ABM is like attribution becomes a lot more difficult. We look at like direct source model, so what was like the last thing that someone did before they became an opportunity, but when sales and marketing are jointly going after one account, that definitely gets a lot foggier. And as examples, we'll see BDRs are calling account outbound, going, nothing, they don't get anywhere with it. Well, a month later, they come through our website as an appointment to schedule a demo. That didn't happen by chance. Well, now marketing gets credit for that lead, where technically it was probably because of that BDR, and it goes vice versa. So really being able to understand all the different touch points and have joint goals between sales and marketing, we found really important.
Last point I'll mention is this is not a thermostat. Set it and you're all set. You're warm or you're cold. You always have to constantly continue to look at it, discuss it, refine it as necessary. So it's kind of like Lauren's going through a website refresh right now. The website's never done, neither is your approach to demand generation. So hopefully you found that this was interesting and a practical application of what you had heard in the 2 keynotes. Just look at the last slide real fast, because we're over here. So if you look at the schedule a demo, that's what we call a click to schedule link. So think about that being on your website. I'm assuming you're all in companies that want to sell something to someone. They come to your website, click that link, and it will directly connect that prospect or customer to some place in your organization to be able to schedule a meeting with the right person who can talk to them. It's that simple. So thank you very much for your attention. Hopefully you enjoy your time here.